Welcome to the e-commerce expert podcast, where we get up close and personal with the superheroes of e-commerce, getting them to reveal their most profitable tactics and strategies to help you level up your e-commerce game. So fasten your seatbelt and get ready for an info-packed ride with your host, e-commerce entrepreneur and digital marketing OG, Derek Gale.
Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce expert podcast. Today's guest is the founder and CEO of 4 Media Marketing, which is actually one of the fastest growing full service e-commerce and product marketing agencies in the USA, with over $600 million per year in managed revenue. And with over 200, this just pains me to say it, 200 full-time hires in his company in the last 2 years. He's been able to put together some brilliant marketing minds, and he's worked with over 100 8-figure brands, right? And that's where we want to be, guys. That's what we're trying to get to. So he's been able to create some amazing strategies in the digital space and the e-com space that excels these brands to the new peaks in profit. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Eddie Maalouf to the show. Eddie, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, man. Super excited to talk some e-com.
Yeah, let's do this. 200 hires in 2 years.
Yeah,
That's
so let me give the story because other people write these bios for me. So I don't currently employ all 200. So currently I think we have 110 fully actually employed.
Yep.
And I looked at the numbers the other day. We're closer over the 300 number on hires. But yeah, we've had to hire and pay over 300 people full time in our company the last 2 years, and it you can see the gray hairs on this video. I'm only 29.
Yeah.
I'm practically 70 in the head.
That's rough. And is that a lot of remote, or is that all in house?
Both. So we have 3 offices, which would classify them all as in house. There's about 40 people in those offices total, and then there's 60 people remote.
Yeah, that's some serious overhead.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's about this month I was actually just going through the numbers, about like $550K of overhead.
Yep.
That's a lot of money every month. It's funny because I used to be like, wow, dude, if I made $100K a year,
I'm balling.
And now I'm spending $550 a month on other people's paychecks.
Yeah, before you get paid, you've already written off $500,000.
So that's crazy. Yeah.
Good for you though. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, and let's start with. I always like to start with your journey, right? Like you're 29. You're still young. How did this all happen? Right? Give me your story.
Yeah, so I'll give you the story, and I'll cater it a little bit more towards e-com too, specifically. So, long story short, when I was in college, I got into college younger than most people, so I was always like underage. So I graduated at I want to say 20 or 21, early 21 years old. But that was in 2014. I basically got into ads. I started learning like Facebook ads. There wasn't a single YouTube video. No one sold a single course on Facebook ads. Like that stuff just didn't exist in 2014. And I was basically just learning it on my own. It took me like 14 hours to make my first dark post, is what they were called at the time, in the Power Editor. So I got into ads. My family had some local businesses, so I basically helped them with their local stuff. No one was, dude, like there was like one sponsored post a day on your feed on Facebook,
Totally.
So I was like one of the first. So we were spending like $20 and making thousands. It was like stupid money. So my family's like mind blown. I'm like, dude, I've never seen something where I could just like mass sell to everyone from a computer. So that really blew my mind. So I started blowing their businesses up. I did really well there. And we're from Lebanon, which is a country in the Middle East. And we have some businesses there. And while I was there in the summer, I noticed one of the brands was like equivalent of like a Groupon, where they basically sell coupons for other people's businesses and they take their cut of like bringing that customer in the door. And I was like, dude, like, how are you guys doing this? Like, it's all cash. Like when someone comes in person, we deliver the coupons to them. It's like this whole ancient system. And I was like, dude, why don't we open up e-commerce? Like you could sell all these products. Like you already have the infrastructure, the warehouses. And so I opened up their e-commerce presence. We were getting 32 ROAS in 2016. It was stupid, dude.
Wow.
Dude, I still have a video on my Instagram in my highlights, and it was us spending like $300,000 at a 29x return.
Oh my God.
I was like, dude, I can just print money. This is cool.
Yeah.
So that got me into ecom. But I started taking on random clients, people that I felt like really could just like, I could bring more value to their business for sure. And I could get paid enough to make it worth it. So I was kind of freelancing on my own, making like $30,000, $40,000 a month, just kind of freelancing, working from my parents' house. I was super young. And my priority was always to like learn. Like I just want to learn as much as possible because I understood like, how old are you?
46.
46. So you look younger. You look like 37. So that for what it's worth.
Well done. Like you better already.
So I knew like if I from 21 to 29 only focus on earning money, I could lose all that money by 30. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I could be basically back to step one in a way. Or if I spent 21 to 30 learning how to make more money, how to bring more value, how to be someone of higher value, that I could make more money from 30 to 31 than I did from 21 to 30. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, let me just focus on my brain, not my pockets. So I basically took all that money that I was making, kept pouring it back in like masterminds, courses, everything that I could, high level groups, paying I paid someone $50,000 for like 4 or 5 hours of their time. And it was like, honestly, half the money I had in my bank account. So I kept developing myself. And then 2020, I was like, you know what? Like me and my wife sat down. We're like, we know how to make money. We're okay making money. Like we're never not going to make money. I truly believe that. Like I've understood the laws of money, and you could throw me in a random country and I'll be a millionaire before the end of the year, guaranteed. It doesn't matter. But what's the purpose of all this? Like, do we want to do something bigger? And so we're like, let's do something bigger. 2020, we started our actual business, For Media. Like I called myself For Media and my team, which was my wife and my VA. So we officially started For Media. We got an office. We're like, if we have to pay rent, we'll take it seriously. Like we'll have to hire people, bring people in. So we did that. And all the growth that we talked about, 300 hires, whatever, that was all from essentially October 2020 till now, 2023. So it's been
really
like 2 years and a few
that
months.
short a period, like you went from how small, like just the four of you to holy shit.
My wife, it's funny, my wife showed me a video the other day, and it's her February 2020, and we're in my parents' basement. We're eating Taco Bell nachos, and it's me, her, and my best friend. And she's like, I'm taking this video because in 2 years, who knows where we're gonna be. All this stuff. We're gonna be in an office. She's just like, making all this visualization stuff, but like being fun about it and things like that. And then we watched that video February 2022, 2 years later, and it was like an office. We have 70 employees. It was like, we're like, wow, it's crazy how far we've come in those 2 years. Like you undershot how crazy it was, and it was already crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all been pretty quick to say the least.
That's 2 years from 4 people to that is monstrous. And in fact, in terms of handling like systems, people, like I've scaled businesses relatively quickly, but to that size, that fast, I mean, your systems keep breaking.
Oh, every week our systems break. But you know, it's crazy. And I know it's not e-com related, but systems in general, like when you bring on team members and your systems aren't 100%, it's like they almost assume, because so many people work for bigger companies, they don't work for like startups or new businesses, and they're not really familiar with like lack of perfection in a way of processes. I've had people like quit because they're like, man, we don't have our shit together. And I'm like, all right, sure thing. Like, sorry, we're a growing company. Like, they're like, we change things every month. I'm like, yeah, if we didn't, we'd dinosaurs and like your life would suck more. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
But we're always making these changes. And now I have luckily a team that's like very like growth mindset. They understand we're trying to do these things. But it's funny because so many of those high level people that left and worked for another company that was maybe 10 years old, not like 50, but like 10. Yep. They're like, dude, they're so disorganized. They don't have anything that we had. And like, it's cool, to like feel that validation of like, we think we suck at systems, but compared to where maybe other people are at 2 years into the business, we're definitely doing a decent job.
I mean, if you are managing that many people, you've scaled up and you haven't imploded on yourself and just been losing money hand over fist, you're doing something right.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Some problems are masked by other solutions though. You know what I mean? Like sometimes just doing really good on client or product, mask inefficiencies in a different department that's maybe losing money at that time or whatever. But overall, luckily, we've been profitable every month.
But that exists even in big corps, big companies, right?
Exactly.
Like, it's everywhere. And the grass is always greener for people, right? Like, and I've had people like, oh, I think that's going to be better. It's more organized. I'm like, fine, go over there, right?
Yeah. It's usually not.
It's usually not, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with anything that's in a fast growth place, right? So, that's amazing. Now, I love talking to people like yourself, specifically guys that are doing agencies, because you get a broad perspective, right? I mean, when I talk to an e-com guy like myself, I'm in a few different niches and I have a very good perspective on that niche. You get to see across industry because you're in all sorts of different spaces. So here we are, what are we at? We're March 2023, right? You started this, what month in 2020? Like, when did you start in 2020?
October, my first hire that's with me today.
That was
November 1st.
Okay, so you started this in the middle of COVID, effectively.
Exactly, yeah.
And I mean, COVID was a really interesting time. So I mean, I was through ecom through the beginning all the way, and it was like, it was the Wild West. It was amazing.
It was amazing.
COVID was stupidly good for us. Yeah. Even when, Apple pulled the rug out from under like tracking and Facebook and all that sort of partway through, it's still been amazing. Things have kind of, from my perspective, changed as we've come into 2023 and to 2022. Kind of give me what you're seeing, state of ecom, and how are your clients dealing right now?
Yeah, so definitely things are slower than they were in 2020. That's no doubt. I'll tell you what's super important now more than ever is being very conscious of your cash flow. Like if you're drop shipping products, it's a little bit easier for you since you don't have any upfront costs. But a lot of people have like inventory time where they basically, from the time that they go to the manufacturer to put in an order to the time that they actually get the order, that money is out of their account usually and just floating in the air, and then it becomes product that sits in a warehouse, and then you have to then spend more ad dollars to sell that product. So being very conscious of that. I think during COVID people didn't really care either. They were like, whatever, we're growing, spend more money, get more inventory, I don't care if it takes 8 weeks to get here, all these things. And so being more careful about your cash flow is one thing. And then two is finding ways to be profitable in your e-commerce business without having to depend strictly on ads. So like, how can we get customers to get on recurring purchases more often? How can we make our email and SMS game stronger? Can we get affiliates that cost us no money up front, but we give them a bigger percent of the back end to protect ourselves? Can we have a supplier who has a lower minimum order quantity so that we're not spending so much money up front every single time? Can we negotiate those terms? Can we get the supplier to give us 60 or 90-day terms for paying their invoices instead of 30-day terms for paying their invoices? All these things add up. And I'll tell you, since I'm just going on a rant here, one thing I'll tell you that I've seen kill more e-commerce businesses than anything else is taking loans, not from a bank and a traditional conventional loan, but the standard like e-commerce loan where they take a percentage of your revenue every single day until the loan is paid back. Because what people don't realize is, let's just say I make $1,000 a day. Okay. On that $1,000 a day, 20% of it's profit margin. So 200 of my $1,000 are profit margin. Now I'm in a situation where I need more inventory and I don't have enough cash to get more inventory because I'm growing. So I can go to this company and they'll give me a loan at whatever percentage it is. It's usually decently aggressive. How I pay them back is 20% of daily sales. So if my margin is 20%, on my daily sales, which means that's the money I'm going to be able to put in my bank account as profit. And now I'm basically dishing it all to these guys to loan. Then when my loan is paid back in 3 months, I will now have no money again because I've given all that profit leading up for those 3 months to pay back that loan. Yeah. Now I need another loan. And then I'm just kind of stuck in this cycle. And if my sales drop at one point and that 20% becomes not only my margin, but now my cost. Sure. Now I'm paying out of pocket for the loan, not just for my profit. I've seen businesses die in 2 weeks, but I can't do anything anymore. I'm stuck in this situation. I have to spend more on ads. My ROI is down. I'm just paying it out of pocket. default on the whole situation. So that's something I saw a lot of the last 2 years.
That's interesting. So, I mean, I've been hit up by those companies time and time again and pitching me on their stuff. And I've never needed that, fortunately. But I've been curious how they operate on the back end. And so when they run you into the ground effectively, do they take over the business? How are they getting paid? Are they just walking away and writing it off? Because they must be writing off a ton right now, if that's the case.
A ton, dude. In the situations that I've seen, it's basically, they're treating it like a normal default on a loan. And most of these times they're not taking these businesses, at least from what I've seen. Now, the size of the businesses aren't insane.
There's not much to take, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of the issue. It's like, what are they going to take? They're just taking on liability almost in a way.
Interest. I wonder if that lending model is going to adjust or die. Because it worked really well, I think, through COVID when things were going up. But when things are on their way down, it's probably a tough model. That's really interesting. Okay, so the general consensus is, and I'm hearing this across the board, is everybody's, we have to actually be smart business people. Basically what you said there is look for ways to optimize your logistics, your systems, reduce your COGS, and increase your LTV, right? The
boring stuff that no one wants to talk about.
Exactly. Not just placing Facebook ads and, getting actually a positive return on your first sale. It's a different place. Now, your agency, and we started talking about this. I want to kind of dive back into it, right? Because you're saying some interesting stuff there. And I asked you and we'll start this conversation again. Like I said, what's your agency's superpower? What do you guys do? If you had to call your specialty.
Yeah. So basically our specialty. So at one point our specialty was content, to be honest. Our specialty was we make way better ads and the graphics than everyone else. And so our products look more expensive and they're easier to make a buying decision on as a customer. On the other hand, now our specialty is being more holistic. So some people, they're like, hey, we're really good at ads and that's what we want to be the best at. That's not how I operate with my team. We just want to be the best at being a growth partner. And what it takes to be a proper growth partner that actually is going to make your clients a lot of money is going to be basically you focusing on the business as a whole. So we take a holistic approach. I'll look at someone's average order value. I'll look at their conversion rate. I'll look at what percent of their sales come from email and SMS. Could we make a recurring purchase offer? All these little details. And then I will scope out where the biggest opportunity is. So like a lot of people think, oh, it's my Facebook ads, but then I look and their click-through rates are high and their engagement's really good on the ads. And it's really not an ad problem. And quite frankly, it's not a media buyer problem. It's a website problem. Like your website and your landing page for the product isn't converting high enough or your average order is too low. And if you fix that problem, like if my conversion rate on my website is 1% and I just change it to 2%, so like a 1% change, I've doubled the entire company. You know what I mean? From the same amount of resources. So that's what I look for and that's what my team is really good at, is going in and trying to pinpoint what those percentages are that we want to move and focusing on those.
So that's interesting. So I mean, it's interesting as like if we go back to before Apple pulled the rug out from under targeting and Facebook and stuff like that. I used to see it all the time. You'd see, shitty offers, shitty products that were actually making money because people could just sort of hack and target their way into, finding the exact right buyer. But I'm hearing more and more of this from people of, you got to go kind of broad and then fix your marketing. And what I'm hearing from you is probably one of the reasons I see so many agencies struggle and so many agency relationships implode. Because I hear it all the time in the e-com space. Like one of the biggest beefs I hear from people is I hate my agency, right? Like I'm having issues with my agency. And I think it's because you hire an agency and they say, I'm a specialist at this one thing, but they're not looking holistically at the big picture. And so they do their thing real well, but something else is broken. But they're the agency that's supposed to be delivering the results, so they take the blame. When in reality, it has nothing to do with necessarily their Facebook ads or whatever.
Agreed. And I'll tell you, I see this all the time. And I think it's important as e-com owners ourselves to take responsibility for that sometimes.
Yes.
You know, it's really easy as a business owner, and look, everyone does this. So you just need to be conscious of not doing it. But like, even sales teams outside of like e-commerce, they do this. Like I just posted a meme yesterday. It's like sales. It's like that dude sweating and there's like the 2 red buttons and he has to pick, and it's like sales team. We don't have enough leads, or our leads aren't good enough quality. Which complaint are we going to give the marketing team? And I thought it was hilarious. And it's so many salespeople responded. Sometimes I just want to click both. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it's very easy to just point the finger at the other person in every case. And as e-com owners, when you go to outsource an agency, how I like to think about it is like, you want to look at it as you're hiring an employee in a way. You're not going to go hire the employee that's going to do your ads and expect him to change your entire business. Like, in what world do you go hire that employee and then just not show up to work and expect him to like move the entire thing forward? You know what I mean? He's just another piece that's going to speed up that process and make it more profitable and better, but he is not the business owner. That is your responsibility. You still hold that.
Yeah, 100%. This is what I'd challenge to the listeners. If you have worked with multiple agencies and the relationships never work out and it implodes, maybe it's not them, maybe it's you.
Maybe it is.
And you need to stop and really ask the question of where the fault lies in those. And not to say there aren't shitty agencies out there.
Oh, yeah, for sure there are.
Dude, like everybody in there, like I'm blown away, but like you're an exception to the rule. I mean, you have scaled, you've got the results to prove it. But every time I go to Traffic and Conversion Summit, I'm like, there's like 10 of us that sell products. And then there's 1,000 agencies. Just cracks me up, right?
That's funny.
So look, I think people need to understand the role and I like how you said it. Treat them like an employee, right? Work with them, train them, make sure you're in alignment of the expectations, and you'll get a far better outcome. But on the flip side, a lot of these people can't manage their employees well either. So,
very true.
So you gotta figure that out as well. So let's talk about that. So you start off with a brand and you look at it holistically. So we take an e-com product, you find a brand, and they say, hey, we want to work with you. What are the specific things that you're looking at, and where do you typically find the most room for improvement?
Okay, so most room for improvement is always in the conversion rate of the business. Like, that is definitely where the biggest levers are pulled. Again, like I told you, like if we just increase the conversion rate by 1%, that changes the entire business as a whole. So things like that is usually where the biggest leverage points are, in my opinion. So from that standpoint, that was it. What was the other question that you asked me? Sorry. One was like, where do you see like the biggest needle movers, which is that one.
Oh God, I don't even remember now. But I guess my next question then would be, so let's talk conversion rate, right? When you go into a business, what levers do you typically pull to affect conversion rate? What are the easiest levers?
Nice. So number one, I get to so many pages that are not well branded. They just feel like a drop shipping store. And quite frankly, reducing that feel of like, we're just like a company drop shipping things from China, through like just better designs, like having product shots that are actually product shots, not like a rendering from AliExpress, which I see so many people do. Another thing I think that's a massive conversion lift that no one talks about is stories of the owners. Why did you make the brand? Why did you invest in this brand? Like, are you actually the owner and caring about this brand, or is it just like a money grab? If you can like communicate your story, the why behind the product, why you're helping people through this, how you discovered it, those are things that increase conversion rate like crazy.
Which is funny because in the world of Shopify stores that you can plug in and have up and running and connected to a drop shipper in 10 minutes, that is so lacking. And I mean, this goes back to marketing 101. People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust, right?
100%.
And even if you put a physical product in front of it, that story is important. In fact, it's funny you say that. Last night I got an ad and on my Facebook feed, and I clicked on it and I went through the page. It was a standard Shopify store. Zero personalization. It still had lorem ipsum text in it. And I was like,
ouch.
You're buying ads.
Like you're spending money. That's the craziest part, you know.
Shocking.
I'll tell you this. So that's number one. And let me real quick on the story, and then I'll get back to conversion rate.
Yep.
It's such a big difference that I'll tell you this. When I take people's accounts and I go into their email marketing, the first thing I do is I go to the post-purchase sequence right after someone purchases something, and I basically change it to be the story of the owner and the brand. Here's why I made the brand. Thank you so much for buying. I want to tell you why this brand's important, what kind of missions we're doing, where are we donating money, why are we making these products, all these things. And dude, just doing that and then offering something else to those people, I'd say like 20% of people who get that email make another purchase on the spot before their products even ship to them, just because of what they've read in those emails.
Yeah.
So that's something that's mega valuable that I think people could really use. From a conversion standpoint, not having a sliding cart is definitely like one of like the biggest jumps that I somehow don't see a lot of people doing still. A lot of people make some easy mistakes. Like when you go to add something to your cart, it takes you to your cart.
Yeah.
Which takes you out of the shopping experience as a whole, and now kind of forces you into an extra click to get to checkout, which is kind of useless in itself. And it's hard to get back. I'd say like half the stores I audit still don't have sliding carts. Which is like just a massive distraction to people.
Sure.
Something that's huge as well is just having too many things in the menu. Again, back to distractions.
Yeah.
What I would do is I would go into your Shopify settings. I would run a report on traffic to URLs and find those URLs that are just like not getting any traffic and being wasted, and just remove them out of your menus. There's no point in them. And something I found to be super advantageous is I basically look at the conversion rates of each of those pages. So example, I had a client who, like, I don't know, 20% of people on the site were clicking a tab. Let's just say it was about us, right? As an example, they were clicking on this tab, and I saw it through the reports. And I was like, dude, 20% of these people are clicking, but none of them are like ended up buying anything. Like maybe this, oh no, it was a quiz. That's what it was. It was like a quiz that they put that they thought was super useful. And I look, 20% of people are going to this quiz, but this quiz isn't even converting. Let's move this quiz to the footer of the website. Let's remove it out of the menu and let's see what happens. Conversion rate jumped on the site because now there's 20% of people that were clicking on that quiz that are now clicking on the product and actually trying to shop, as opposed to a quiz that wasn't working. Now, if the quiz was working, that's a completely different scenario.
Sure.
But you'd be surprised to find these inefficiencies of like distracting people. And I think sometimes people do too much. And I'll tell you what has been helping us lift a lot of landing pages right now is GIF, like GIF product animations. So just like you'd see on social media, like a GIF, like a small video that's moving for like 2-3 seconds. Doing that with product demonstration videos. So like as I'm going down the list reading about the product and the product does this, instead of like a full-blown video about it, or instead of an image, showing like 2-3 seconds of that product doing the thing on like a loop, it just feels like a very organic experience for someone who's shopping on mobile. And it just gets the message across better and faster than a video would and a photo would.
Awesome. Yeah, dude, that was awesome. You just like banged off a whole ton of things that people can like.
Sorry if I went too much.
No, man. I was like, no, kid, don't stop. That's awesome. I was actually taking notes there. Yes. I would agree with everything you said there, and even some of that. There's stuff I've never thought like that. I've never thought about the GIF demonstration. I mean, you think animated GIFs? I'm like, oh, that's so like 1999, right? But no, you can absolutely do that with them, and it's a better mobile experience for sure. Okay, so. Shift gears a little bit here. You have dealt with a lot of 8-figure brands, right? What is kind of the minimum size that you deal with? Just out of curiosity.
So I actually deal with people smaller than 8 figures. We have multiple different departments in our agency. So we have our Atlanta department, which is essentially primarily structured for e-commerce businesses that are doing at least like a couple $100,000 to $300,000 a month minimum. Yeah. That's the smallest that side starts. On the other side, so we have a UK London office, and everyone on that side is based out of Europe. So we're able to shave down the required cost to run the operation, and it allows us to work with smaller brands. So on that side, we have basically, as long as a brand's doing like $30,000 a month or more, we're able to work with them. And in the e-com world, if you're doing 30K a month, you're usually not taking home that much because of cost of ads, inventory, everything. So it just doesn't make sense if you're making less than that to hire an agency. Even like, for example, our agency, our UK side is $3,000 a ticket per service. So like if someone wants ads, it's $3,000. If someone wants emails, it's $3,000, whatever the case is. It doesn't make sense to pay that unless you're at least making 30 grand.
Yeah.
Cause like on the email side, for example, if I come into your business and I find 30% lift in the business, that's still only $9,000. For you to pay me 3 is like the borderline of justification. You know what I mean? To make 9 back after product costs. So all that being said, we work with small and big brands. I've taken a lot of brands from like 20, 30,000 a month to 400 or 500,000 a month within like a year span of time, which I think is a pretty good job. And we've taken brands from 1.5 to 2.5 million. So it just depends on the team that they're working with, but you'd be surprised the same strategies apply to the $30,000 ones that they do to the 2 million ones. Sometimes they're just not doing them.
So here's the question then. I mean, you've worked with a lot of different brands. I mean, some have scaled. I'm sure some haven't seen the same sort of success, right? What can you pinpoint in terms of the brands that do go from that, 40 to 400 grand a month versus the ones that struggle to get from 40 to 60 grand a month? What are the differentiators? What are the secrets, if you will, of the successful ones?
Okay, so there's 4 that I could think of off the top of my head. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 1 is offer. So many brand owners are just like so prestigious and pretentious about their brand that they don't want to run an offer because it's going to dilute the quality of my brand. All this fake stuff that they've told themselves. Okay. When in reality, you could I'll think of a brand as big as like Express Clothing. I've been buying Express for 10 years. Dude, I spend thousands of dollars a year with Express, but the only reason I do is because at one point they ran a 6 sale on like a buy one, get one free hoodie. And I was like, I want that. I'll get that hoodie. And I was like, oh, this is good quality. And all of a sudden now every year they're getting $3,000, $4,000 out of me on apparel because of that one offer.
Okay, but I'm going to pause you there because I think we need to clarify some of the listeners. We talk about offers. I know exactly what you're talking about, but people are like, I got lots of offers on my site. All my products are offers. When you say an offer, what are you talking about?
I mean something so enticing that it outweighs the risk of them spending the money. And the keyword is risk here because like to them, to a consumer, your first time buying from someone as a consumer, it's a risk, right? Like, I don't know, for example, my wife goes to buy a dress for our daughter. She doesn't know if this dress is going to end up the same way it looks like on the website as it comes here. That's a risk. So anytime someone's making a first time purchase outside of a site like Amazon, which vets these people decently well for you most of the time, you're carrying a risk. So you need to make an offer so good that it's worth that risk that they have. So for example, really good case study I always share is I went to a brand, I looked at their numbers. They weren't a big company. They're doing 40, 50K a month. And actually they're doing 80K a month at the time. And a pink hat was their top seller. So they had a pink hat. It was 45% of their sales, 50% of their sales, something like that. And I basically came in, I said, hey, we're going to give this hat away for free. And they flipped their shit. They're like, dude, you're crazy. You're the dumbest marketing guy we've ever talked to. Like, what kind of dumbass idea was that? Their finance guy's going off. I was like, dude, just give me it for a week. And if it works, you give me it for a month. They say, okay, cool. So what I did was I took whatever my average order value at the time was $50. And I said, hey, spend $75 on our website on clothing. And I'll give you this pink hat for free. It's the only way you can get the pink hat. I already knew everyone wanted the pink hat. They were paying for it. Yeah. So why not make them buy other things to get the pink hat? So now, instead of people spending $50 on average, they're spending like $85 on average. It increased the conversion rate of the website, almost doubled the average order value, but it wasn't because the ads were better. It wasn't because the email, it was because the offer itself was what people wanted. And they were willing to justify the risk of spending more to get the hat because they're just buying more clothing at the end of the day. So that's an example of a really good offer. I ran Alex Hormozi's supplement brands marketing up until the point that they exited, and we couldn't sell it. The protein was more expensive than other protein, literally like 3 times the price. It was, the flavor was good, the ingredients were good, all this stuff great, but like it was 3 times the price. Like, and
it's a commodity.
There's not a lot of consumers that want that at the end of the day. So we ran an offer. We said, we're giving away one tub of, I forgot what it was, but it was like spend $75 and we'll give you a tub of protein for free. We moved thousands of protein tubs on that offer because people just wanted the free protein. Now, the second part of the 4 converting things that I think is content, which plays directly into this. So you want to make good content around that offer once you know what offer makes sense. So like we ran that offer with them. That offer made sense. We saw our purchases go up. We saw our average order value go up, conversion rate. There was clear changes of traffic where like people like this, let's do it. Then we went and shot ads, and like the simplest ads. One of them was literally us opening a fridge, and it was like, 3 tubs of proteins and opening a freezer, with 3 tubs of protein because it was ice cream flavor and like smokes coming out of the fridge. Anything someone could do at their house.
Sure.
And we just put, buy 2 tubs, get 1 free kind of thing. That ad alone scaled tens of thousands of dollars a month more in profit for that business from that one ad and that one offer, because they were aligned together. But if the offer wasn't there, the ad wouldn't have converted as high. Sure. And if the ad wasn't there, the offer wouldn't have scaled as high either.
Right. Okay. So in content, what's your approach to content? Like, how do you come up with these ideas, just out of curiosity?
Well, at this point it's experience, right? Yeah. I can look at things and I'll sit with my creative directors in a room when we get a client. So like, for example, right now we're doing ClickFunnels, video ads for their ads. And we'll spitball ideas at the wall. Like we just lock ourselves in a room and we're like, how do you want to sell this? Blah, 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 blah. And we take concepts. And then this is the key. When you take the concepts, then you need to sit down and have a whole nother meeting about the hooks for those concepts. So like everything around social media right now is like based on the first 2 to 5 seconds. Like that's how you win, is whoever has the best 2 to 5 seconds usually can hold people longer because they expect something from those first 2 to 5 seconds. If they're boring, they're going to scroll past you. Everyone's scrolling 60 times a minute practically at this point. You know what I mean? So, you want to lock their attention. So basically what we do is we come up with the concepts, and we shoot shit at the wall. And then we take if we know if we shoot 40, we'll have 4 that'll be really good that we all agree on. We'll vote as a team. We'll put them all up on the board. We'll say, here's the 40. You each have 3 votes. And then we go and we each tally our own votes. And whichever concepts have the most votes is the ones we move forward for. Then we sit down and we craft the hooks. Oh, maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do this in front of the camera. Maybe we could have the actor say this. Maybe. So it's like we're trying to think of all the ways we could pattern interrupt people on their normal social media journey that they're doing every day to get them out of that mindset, to give us their attention, which is super valuable. And then be enough eventually. The concept is enough to get them to click. We know that. That's why we voted it. Yeah. But the hook is, the concept's nothing without the viewer watching it at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay. So we've covered, you had 1, 2, 2 was content. You said you had 4.
Yeah. So, at this point, I forgot what the
other 2 were.
No, I know one of them for sure. So,
we can settle with 3.
We'll settle with 3, guys, because it was just kind of off the top of my head at the time. So I should have listed them out honestly, and then came back to them. But number 3 is essentially upsells, downsells, just like finding ways to increase average order value with the least amount of effort. So, for perspective, it costs me $0 to ask someone if they want to buy something else. But it costs me more money to run more ads, right? So like with the same amount of ads that I'm running, if I just ask one more time if someone wants to buy something, and that adds $10 of order on average to the business, that's $4, $5 extra of profit for the business that didn't require me per order. That didn't require me to add anything. You know what I mean? It didn't require anything. So I remember what the 4th thing is, by the way. So that's something that's huge, is just being able to squeeze more juice out of the same orange. Yeah. I think a lot of people, and it comes down to laziness, dude, at the end of the day. Is really what the defining factor is here. I'm like, why don't we have an upsell? And they're like, oh, we just never got to it. We've been so busy. I'm like, you've been running this company for 2 years, bro. What do you mean you're like, how is that a valid excuse?
It's just not. It's just not. So, and where are you getting where are you seeing the most success placing your order bumps? If you take the average Shopify store, where are you hitting people?
Yeah, the only 2 times is post add to cart, post purchase. Those are the 2 main times. If I had to give you an answer, which one's better, I couldn't. Some stores post purchase just kills it. Some stores pre-purchase kills it. I'll tell you, usually Pre-purchase is easier to sell an aligning product. Post-purchase, it's easier to sell more of the same product. So like you already bought it. How about I give you, like you bought a month's supply. How about I just give you like 3 months supply for the price of 1 more month? Cause my margins are there. Deal. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then they take it. Or how about we put you on recurring and I give you another free bottle for free. And we start the recurring for your supplements in a month from now.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So like there's so many little things that you could do post-purchase because they've already done that.
Yeah.
Pre-purchase, you want to sell something else that's aligning with that product because in their head, they've already gotten the product that you're trying to sell them.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then fourth one.
Let's do this.
Community. So the best ones build community. Like they build raving fans. They build people who just want to talk about their products. They have Facebook groups with all the people that use their supplements, for example, or use their products that really love it and rave about it. It's not a customer support group. That's not what this is. This is just community. And I'll tell you, in 2021, I got a lawsuit from Apple for a cease and desist because I was selling colored headphones that look like AirPods overseas. We called them Pulse Pods. And I'll tell you this, between me and a few other people who were selling these products, there was millions of dollars a month being moved in this product.
Yep.
At insane returns on investment. I'm talking like out of 500K of sales, we'd keep 380.
Wow.
It was crazy. So the reason we were doing that wasn't because we were killing it. I mean, don't get me wrong. The product was good. It was colored AirPods, like people like that, but you still had to sell it. It's not that easy to sell a good product.
Yeah.
We would spend every night going through and commenting on every comment on every ad. And dude, sometimes I would sit in front of a computer for 2.5 hours. There were so many comments because of the spend we were doing. And I would just go down as the company and comment and create a community around my personality. So like, I wasn't just being like, oh yes, you can find that on this page. I would like wittily, like, I don't know if you ever seen like Wendy's tweets.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like a savage, like Wendy's tweets, dude. I had some comments that would have like 15,000 likes because like they were just so savage. Like someone would shit on the product and then I would say something like just so savage and people would just, you'd see thousands of comments to my comment tagging people. Look at this guy's comments. This is why I love this page.
Yeah.
And people are like, I bought just for the comments. I bought just for this. I bought just for this. And it's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when you build a community like that, dude, I'm telling you, like we were probably moving an extra 100K a month to 200K a month of this product. That was nothing a month or two ago because we built community in the comments, in the way that we texted people. Like our brand felt like something that people could belong to. They could love it or hate it. Yeah. And that is what allowed us to stand out and be able to do that. And so I challenge everyone, no matter what product they have, to be a little polarizing. Because if you're like just in the middle all the time, no one likes the dude who's just in the middle.
Nope.
Like they're just no fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would rather you be completely opposed to me in a discussion than you be like totally neutral. Because that's not fun. It's like, whatever, it ended right here. That's boring. But if you're opposed, we can go back and forth. We can at least have a conversation. I can disagree, agree. I know people that do agree with you, whatever the case is. So I think that's something that a lot of people are scared to do. Whereas I'm willing to be very polarizing. I mean, look at Andrew Tate. He was polarizing and he's the most watched person on the planet, probably still for the next, and he's been in prison for months and he's probably still the most watched guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So pretty crazy.
Yeah. Oh, it's yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, that's been a rule of marketing from, even the early direct response days, right? But people have trouble with that, right? Because we want to be liked.
Exactly.
And the fact is if you're going to polarize, you're going to be loved and you're going to be hated. And you have to have a bit of a thick skin.
Very thick skin. I'd be like, Eddie, remember they're talking about your AirPods, not about you. Okay.
Yes. Oh God. So true. So true. All right, man. We're almost out of time here. I've enjoyed this conversation. You've dropped just some absolute bombs of value here. Thank you so much for that. Where can people connect with you and find out more?
Best place is Instagram. That's I pretty much every other one of my accounts is managed by someone, but Instagram's me. So if you want to follow me, it's Eddie Maalouf. It's probably on the podcast. Just type it in. Make sure you don't spell it wrong. There's about 100 fake ones out there. So connect with me there. If you have any questions, feel free to just DM me, reach out. I'd love to just help you out personally if anyone needs any help with anything.
Brilliant. Thanks for being here, man. I truly appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to the E-commerce Expert Podcast. If you liked what you heard, make sure to give us a virtual high five by rating, reviewing, and subscribing to the show on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to check out our website at ecommerceexpert.com for show notes and bonus materials. See you in the next episode.